Hello, you join me in mid-project. Let's have a look what I've got on the lathe here. So the back of a bowl that I've turned and just put some sanding sealer on. It's got a few more moments to dry before I put some cut and polish on and get a very nice finish on it, I hope. Right, so I've got on the lathe the back of a bowl, I've sanded it to 320, put on some cellulose sanding sealer, and now it's time to get the back finished to the best standard I can. I'm going to start by doing some more abrasion with cut and polish. Yeah, you did see me think, is it called cut and paste? It's not called cut and paste. So just wipe a thin layer of this over the surface. I'm using a safety cloth from Chestnut Products for this. You can use paper towel, but sometimes I find paper towel gets a little bit scratchy if you're going to go for a really fine finish. Right, we'll give that about 60 seconds to go off, and let's bring you in a little bit closer to it. It's got some lovely ripple in it, this sycamore up there a little bit. That lovely grain. And the back is going to remain natural, of course. So lowish speed to begin with. Just work that grit across the surface of the wood. You can see a shine building up. Bring you in. Can I get you in any closer? Yeah, there we go. I want to bring the speed up. You can see the cloth has got quite a bit of dirt on it, so I just fold that over, get a fresh piece, and I am being a little bit free in my use of half a sheet of safety cloth for this project, because it's being made for a competition, so I want it to be absolutely spot on, and I want the quality to be the best. So I'm not going to stint on, oh, I'll try and do this with a tiny bit of safety cloth. There's still a bit of grubbiness on there. So fold it over, get a fresh bit, bring the speed up a bit more. And then work that cloth slowly across the surface. I can see a lovely shine appearing. You can see there, a slightly wider shot than the close-up one from the tailstock, how much shine we're getting just from this. Remember, this isn't a finish, but it's a start of a finish. It's a wax based. So let's turn it off and inspect the surface. Right, so I've got a little bit, can you see there, a couple of dull spots. Haven't quite got all of the sanding sealer removed. So like I say, I want this to be absolutely top-notch finish, so I'm going to do another coat of the cut and paste, because I want this to be wonderful, one of the best quality pieces I've ever made. So I'm going to put my cut and polish on again. You don't need very much of this, and what you of course can't tell is how lovely it feels. With just one coat of cut and polish, it feels amazing. The second one, this should get rid of the last remnants of the sanding sealer and give us a very lovely smooth surface to wax. You'll notice I've not done anything in here. I've got a little bit of texture in there. I'm going to come back to that later on in the process. Right, that's it. That tiny little odd blemish has gone. Safety cloth doesn't always remove all of the grit, so I'll often come in and use one of these abrasive pads. well, these are non-abrasive, just the Nye-Web pads, and that just gives it a nice final buff and gets the surface ready for the wax. Now, because it is a quality piece, I'm going to use 2 waxes, Wood Wax 22, microcrystalline wax. The quality of that camera is not quite as good. Oh well. I put Wood Wax 22 on first. It's a nice quick wax to use, gives a nice shine, and you can buff it almost immediately. And I'll do a couple of coats of this wax and see if I'm happy with the finish, and then over the top of that I'll put some microcrystalline wax, and the microcrystalline wax will protect the softer wax underneath. Now, when you're buffing up your waxed surface, you can't keep using the same piece of cloth because it'll be impregnated with the wax, so use one small part of it, like I did with the cut and polish. I'll just use one edge of the paper there, see the wax moving along the surface, and that has now got wax on. Can't quite see it under the lights. There we go. And if I try to polish with that wax bit, it's not going to work very well, so I'll just move that out of the way, get a fresh bit of the cloth and run that slowly over the surface. Now, when you get to the end here, don't just fold your cloth around, because if you've got wax on these harder edges, you can sometimes get a little burn mark. So I pull out to the end of the back, come off, and do that bit separately. Unless, of course, you want to have a little charred line there, which you might. A bit thinner than the first one. You don't need much. Obviously, the more you put on, the more you have to sort of buff and remove. Now, I think there is a little mantra or maxim in turning that the finishing should take as long as the turning, or longer even. I wonder how many of us think that's true and how many of us stick to it. And if this was something you were going to put away and look at and admire, wood wax is a great coat of finish to use. If you think it's going to get a bit of handling though, the wood wax has a lowish melting point. You can get finger marks in it, so that's why I'm going to protect this wax with the microcrystalline, which has a much higher melting point. You can see the shine in there, my hand reflected that shadow, but here you go, just here. So the last thing to do is to put the microcrystalline on, and this will need 20 minutes really before I start buffing it. Oops. Right, so microcrystalline wax. We get a little bit on there, and you really don't need very much of this at all. Wipe it on. I can see it making a little duller surface, so I can see where I've got it. Right, I'm going to go and get myself my morning cup of coffee. You can watch the wax dry. How close do you want to be? Oh. That's pretty close. Enjoy the view. I'll be back in 20 minutes. Okay, so that's the back done. That's probably the easy part. Okay, so that took a while. I'm going to put a little 6mm round-nosed spiral upcut router bit in my router. there we have it. It's been most of a day to make, and it's been great fun. Enjoy the close-ups. Bye for now.